Hey everyone, welcome to the 2023 Q&A video. I want to start off by saying thank you all for taking the time for submitting your questions in one of the community tabs of my channel page. So without further ado, it's time to answer some questions. What is the one thing you love about steam preservation, and what steam engine that isn't preserved would you like to see preserved? The best thing I love about steam locomotive preservation is that more and more steam locomotives are being restored across the country, and some of which are just getting a fresh coat of paint or a cosmetic restoration. And then the number one extinct steam locomotive that I like to see preserved is a Western Maryland 484 Potomac. What is your favorite Canadian steam locomotive? Do you like Canadian National 6213, Canadian Pacific 2816, or 2860? My number one favorite is the Canadian Pacific Royal Hudson 2860. Second favorite is the Canadian National 6060. I definitely think Canadian National 6213 looks really cool, especially with smoke deflectors. And between 2816 and 2860, 2860. What's your favorite steam loco? Will you ever make a video about Santa Fe 2926 when it comes back to operation? What's your favorite railroad/railway? Acela Express or Velia Liberty? Would you save all Genesis locomos or just scrap them all? What are your favorite SP loco, UP loco, ATSF loco, steam only, Grand Canyon 4960 or ATSF 3751, a big station or a small station? What's your favorite type of loco? For example, the reel arrangements, Union Pacific Big Boy or Union Pacific Challenger. My favorite steam locomotive would have to be Pennsylvania Railroad K4s number 1361. I would definitely make an update video on Santa Fe 2926 regarding when it will operate excursions in the future, but making a trip out there has yet to be seen. Favorite railroad in modern times would have to be Norfolk Southern, and then the favorite fallen flag railroad is Pennsylvania Railroad. I like the Via Liberty a little bit more just because of its futuristic appearance. I would save some Genesis locomotives for preservation. I'm sure some museums would definitely be interested in acquiring one of those locomotives for preservation. My favorite SP steam locomotive would have to be the Cab Forward. Favorite UP loco is the Union Pacific Big Boy. As far as ATSF goes, one of their 484 Northerns between 4960 and 3751. 3751. I prefer the big stations just because they're a lot more historic and definitely kind of located in the heart of the city is what I really like about them. Favorite type of loco, 484 Northerns. Between the Big Boy and the Challengers, the Big Boy. What extinct American steam locomotive should be selected for a new build besides PRR 5550? Which 482 mountain type should run again? Can NNW 1218 run again? I would go with the New York Central Hudson, but with the Henry Dreyfuss shrouding design. With the 482 that I think should run again is Frisco 1522. As far as NNW 1218 be able to run again, I feel like if it has all the parts, much of parts may need to be replaced, and make sure the entire locomotive is suitable for FRA standards. And last but not least, I think as long as Norfolk Southern has a steam program at that time, I think it's definitely suitable for 1218 to run excursions on Norfolk Southern again. If you could be any type of steam locomotive you could think of, what is it and why? I would definitely be a 484 just because they both have a lot of power as far as they can go up to high speeds as well. Which locomotive do you think is more beautiful, NNW 611 or SP 4449? SP 4449. What steam locomotive that has been considered for restoration but the restoration was canceled for various reasons would you like to see run again had that restoration gone through? I wish the CNO 614 restoration would have happened when it was going to be prepared to pull the special Greenbrier Presidential Express between Washington, D.C. and White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, because whenever those excursions would happen, it would just roll through my hometown. What is the one thing you love about being a rail fan the most? And if you could go back to a certain time period in railroad history, where would you go? The one thing I love most about being a rail fan is creating railroad content, whether it's my rail fanning ventures or for my growing popular series Rail Fan Updates and Announcements videos. I not only get to share my experience of rail fanning with other people, but also spread the word on what's going on in rail preservation, as well as some highlights in modern rail industry. The specific time period in railroad history that I would go back to would have to be between the 1930s and the 1950s, while steam was definitely in its prime. What is your favorite place to film trains? What is your favorite heritage in on a scale of 1 to 10? How much do you like narrow gauge railroads? What scale model trains do you like the best? What is your favorite railroad company, extinct or current? What is your favorite steam locomotive? What is your favorite diesel locomotive? What is your favorite electrical locomotive? And what is your favorite passenger or freight car? What is your favorite railroad museum / tourist railroad? My favorite place to film trains would have to be the Iron Triangle at Fostoria, Ohio. My favorite heritage unit would have to be Norfolk Southern's Pennsylvania Heritage Unit, or number 8102. I would give the narrow gauge railroads a 9, even though they're not my favorites. I've visited the Cumbres and Toltec, Durango and Silverton, and the East Broad Top, just to name a few. And they're just so packed with history, and they are just definitely unique tourist railroads to visit. So highly recommended. Again, 9 out of 10. I definitely have always been a fan of HO scale model trains. My favorite railroad company in current is Norfolk Southern, and extinct is Pennsylvania Railroad. My favorite steam locomotive is Pennsylvania Railroad K4 1361. My favorite diesel locomotive would have to be the EMD SD40 series. My favorite electric locomotive would have to be the Pennsylvania Railroad GG1. I prefer passenger cars over freight cars, and my favorite railroad museum is the Railroaders Memorial Museum in Altoona, and my favorite tourist railroad is the Cass Scenic Railroad in West Virginia. What is your opinion on Waterloo Central Railway number 9? I think it's a really unique locomotive, the fact that it's originally operated in the United States and now operates an excursion service in Canada. What were the best moments of railroading for you this year in 2022? What were some of your favorite production movies from Pentrax? What's the biggest steam locomotive you saw? What's the furthest place you've gone to see trains? What is your opinion on Class 1, Class 2, and tourist railroads / heritage railways? The best moment of railroading for this year in 2022 for me was riding the On-Colors Express through the New River Gorge in West Virginia during the fall season. Some of my favorite production movies from Pentrax would have to be Sacramento Steam 99, Steam 98, Canadian Steam Doubleheader, and all the production movies documentary the NRHS conventions. The biggest steam locomotives I ever saw were the preserved Union Pacific Big Boy locomotives, including number 4012 over in Steamtown, as well as the restored 4014 when I saw in Ogden, Utah back in 2019. My furthest place I ever gone to see trains was definitely Emeryville, California, the Amtrak station there, as well as a round-trip train ride on board Caltrain in San Francisco. Class 1 railroads definitely have vast systems, but they definitely have at least a handful of landmarks within the systems. Class 2 and Class 3 railroads are definitely are packed with history, especially when they have very old locomotives and secondhand ones. And then tourist railroads and heritage railroads, they're definitely more packed with history, and they're definitely should definitely be preserved for forever, and definitely big tourist attractions for local economies. What locomotives currently being restored are you most looking forward to seeing operate, and why? My top 5 would have to be the Pennsylvania Railroad K4 1361, just because it is definitely a symbol of Altoona and railroading in Pennsylvania. The Union Pacific Challenger 3985 and 5511, just because they were just massive machines, even with 5511 being a 210-2 with its young valve gear. LNN 152, just because it's also another historical Pacific steam locomotive that is also the official steam locomotive of Kentucky, as well as Buffalo Creek and Gully number 4, because it has the potential to operate on my favorite tourist railroad, the Cass Scenic Railroad. Well, that is all the questions for the 2023 Q&A video. Thank you all so much for participating. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and leaving me a comment down below. And if you just discovered my channel, feel free to subscribe and click on the Receive All Notifications option after tapping the bell. That's all for now. This is Transcontinental Railfan, out.